Welcome to episode 560 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on 23rd of November 2017. Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by ATH Web Hosting at athwebhosting.com.au. Servers operate on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, easy install of WordPress and Joomla, and Drupal. I'm your host, Jason Oakley. And we're back again, Australia's top two podcasters. I'm joined this week by Will Tompkinson. Woo,
Hey, mate.
yay. We thought you were dead again. Feel like it
this week, I tell you. Interesting, actually. We just installed the SSL for the works for our website at work because we hosted through ATH, and the hosting, the web page design guys wanted to use Amazon and this and that and the other. I was like, just here, look, 2 seconds, done. Literally, it was log in, pay for it, it automatically added the certificate's done.
Yep.
None of this dicking around that we're going to have to do with the GoDaddy one, and then entering the code, and crossing the thing over, then making the thing, and so and it was half the price as well.
Yep. And if you just got personal sites like me, you can use Let's Encrypt, and it's free.
Yeah, that's fine for personal stuff,
Yep. You want to have a good, proper certificate for business ones, though. But I changed all of mine to encrypted HTTPS, mostly because Google will put you higher in the ranks if you do. And
which is one of the reasons we changed at work, because we're thinking about doing online shopping as well. So it's sort of
you're going to take on Amazon.
Well,
they stock Amazon batteries.
We're technically an Amazon partner.
They do.
We have an Amazon affiliate and whatever.
Yep.
And we have the option to do the bulk storage at the warehouse, so they can do the Prime and all that sort of stuff. But
nice.
It's going to be at least 6 months before we were so like this. I suppose I might as well talk about it. The Amazon rollout that's happening.
Yep, that's my first story I've got listed.
I don't actually have it because I figured you would, but everybody's excited about it coming here, but a lot of people didn't realise that it's a slow rollout over a period of time. Like, it's not going to have everything straight away.
No.
The way our Amazon broker effectively said to us is basically Amazon in Australia don't have the provisions to both host the server and do backbone testing, so they're literally just rolling it out in incremental, like 1 and 2% increment stages over the next 6 or 8 or 12 months. To crash test it effectively, and then if it crashes, they roll it back a little bit and tweak a couple of things and try again. So
you don't want to just try and do one of those Click Frenzy Friday things that 2 people can buy that hard drive for $100, and then the site goes down for 48 hours, and then it's over, and you're like, well, I didn't get to buy anything. No, that's because their servers can't handle it.
What was annoying, actually, during the Click Frenzy thing is we didn't do Click Frenzy for our website, but I'm guessing we're hosted on a server that people were.
Yep.
Because for about a 24-hour period, our website slowed to a crawl.
Oh, no.
Like, it was still usable, but only just, and we weren't even doing it. And I'm like, okay, somebody on this server is copping huge hits.
There goes all the resources.
We are on an ATH server, but even, we're still, there is a limit to how much
anybody can
server can handle. So I had to find out to hit up Glenn and go, hey, who the bloody hell are we hosted with? Is it like some major corporation that's taking all my bandwidth?
Speaking of Glenn, he just had an interesting letter this week. Did you see?
From
IINet.
Oh, yes, I did.
Congratulations. January, you can get the NBNs. Woo!
My parents-in-law got that last week.
Letter?
From IINet, because they're with IINet currently. You may have your choice of NBN.
Yep.
You can feel free to choose whoever you want, as long as you're happy with the ADSL speed you're currently getting. Where now it's being officially called the NBN.
There you go.
With the guaranteed speeds of 4 meg down and 1 meg up.
That's NBN for you.
And that's $159 a month. Thank you.
What?
Because it turns out the other option, which I thought was fascinating, I should actually find the. If I remember, I'll bring it on.
NBN.
If I bring it on, remember next week I'll bring it on the show. The other option was to use SkyMaster,
Yep.
which is the satellite,
Yep.
which was $89 a month for unlimited data.
Yep.
On a 26 connection.
Yeah, that'd be a lot better.
Downside is the ping.
Yeah. Well, if they don't play games, they won't care.
That's what I was going to say. The only time a game gets played is when I go there.
Yeah.
But they don't play games. So up to, and my sister's got SkyMaster, she gets up to 1 second round trips.
Yeah.
Well,
So
actually, it's 1
the
second
main
each
problem
way.
is you're going to get killed by a creeper before you know it.
So the problem is you either got really crappy slow internet with fantastic ping,
Yep.
or relatively decently fast internet with crap ping.
Yep.
So
no crapping on the internet.
We don't need to. There's enough of that going on.
The internet's already full of crap things. And here's another one.
That's
show.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, back to the Amazon thing that we're talking about. I'll let you cover the story, but yeah, just be wary that it's not 100% rollout straight off the bat. There's going to be.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
There's going to be a really slow, painful rollout before. Initially, the partners who are being rolled out are ones who were already Australian affiliates with an American store.
Yep.
So there were already some products that were available in Australia. Basically, if your product was previously available in Australia, chances are you're going to be one of the first people to come online.
Yep. I was reading a funny tweet this week. A guy's 7-year-old said something about podcasts. He's a podcaster guy himself. And he's like, do you even know what a podcast is? You're 7. And she's like, a podcast is where you talk to yourself for a while and then put it on the internet and nobody listens. And he goes, oh, so she doesn't know what a podcast is.
Pretty much it, exactly. It's actually interesting. I listen to iHeartRadio going to work.
Yep.
And I listen to Voodoo FM, which is, as you can probably imagine, Voodoo FM is a Louisiana station. It's a really good radio station.
Yep.
But they have an ad come on every so often talking about getting yourself known and sponsoring a podcast. And 75% of the American populations are fully aware and know about podcasts.
Is that so?
Wow. 75% of the American population. 7.5% of the Australian population know about podcasts.
I think that's the same with America too.
So yeah, and they're like, for only 0.026 cents per listener, you too can sponsor this podcast. I'm like, well, there's the best 12 cents I've ever spent.
Yeah. I think next time I should buy some non-reflective glasses. What do you think? I feel like a robot.
I was just looking at that.
Daft Punk.
You don't normally wear glasses, do you? That's why it looks different.
Get lucky. Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Just for some reason tonight, it's picking up this monitor over here.
You're on a slightly chairs dropped an inch. That's what it is. Yeah.
I'll talk like this.
Yeah,
and on tonight. Oh, my head just went out the top. My head's going out.
Oh, you just broke the illusion. You just broke the fourth wall.
I'm good at breaking things. Yes, so Amazon's much talked about soft launch of its Australian retail offering, set to go live at 2 p.m. today, has proved to be a bit of an anticlimax.
It technically did somewhere. I'm sure 3 households got it.
Yeah. It's proved to be a bit of an anticlimax for most hopeful shoppers, with the local website shortly after that time looking more or less as it has for the past several years. While Amazon.com.au has long been a hub for Kindles and ebooks, the new version of the site, set to launch in full on Friday, i.e. tomorrow when you're watching this, is expected to look more like the US and UK versions, filled with everything from electronics to breakfast cereal and from baby toys to motorhomes. We'll see how much of that actually makes it through tomorrow, as Will was saying. It's believed that the soft launch or internal testing phase is limited to a small number of select customers who will be able to order from the Australian site from today, Thursday afternoon. But for the bulk of Australians, that functionality remains invisible, with no clear way to become one of the special early few. Amazon didn't publicly announce its plans for a soft launch on Thursday, followed by the full thing on Friday. The details were leaked in an email to sellers that warned them to have their Australian offerings good to go by 2 p.m. AEST Thursday. So AEST, and By the time it reached 2 o'clock, they're like, "Oh, it said AST, so there could be another hour. 3 o'clock, everyone!" And everyone went there, and it's like, no. The full site is expected to go live for all Australians sometime on Friday morning. Amazon has claimed that the Australian members will still be able to shop at Amazon stores from other regions as long as the items ship here, allaying fears of Australia tax. But the local site is expected to carry items from local sellers and expand Amazon services into the country. And hopefully provide some much needed competition for the electronics and other stores in Australia who do have a huge Australia tax for profit.
Look,
and no other reason.
Being a physical retailer, you know, there is two sides to the story. There is the thing, yes, there is more overheads. You've got to pay staff, you've got to pay wages, you've got to rent the building, you've got to hold the stock. So, look, from that point of view, I understand it. From the other point of view, there are overheads, but then in the scheme of things, not that much greater.
Not as much as the Australia tax greater.
No, like
you could still make a lot of profit and run a decent business with much less.
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example, and you do things like lost leaders, where you do that to get people in. Like, for example, Optima batteries. We match eBay prices, because if we don't, we're not going to sell any.
Yep.
The difference is we might sell 5 a week that we wouldn't normally sell. Okay, we're making $15 a battery, but that adds up. But then you get some things like your deep cycle batteries where you make a reasonable amount on them, make up for the difference. So you pick your battles. Like, there's some stuff that we can't compete with. Like, we can't compete with solar. It's impossible. We cannot compete with online prices for solar panels.
Yep.
We've got a couple of solar panels we keep there. People either want them or they don't. You know, we're not trying to compete because we can't, but we know we can't, so we don't try.
Yeah. And some people like Will going to run their whole computer system from solar.
Yeah, but that's different again. That's big off-grid stuff. That's we can compete in that area. That's sort of a specialist area though. But that's the thing. You pick on an area that you can compete in, like, you know, you run like a grid, you know, not a grid tie system, but an off-grid system.
Yeah.
Because we import the batteries, it gives us an edge, so we can take a bit of a hit on things like regulators and stuff to make the difference up. You know, so whilst in some areas, yes, we compete with online, and it does hurt us. The thing is, 95% of people are happy to pay an extra $10, $15, $20, or even up to 20 or 30% extra to be able to physically walk into a store, grab it, know you've got Australia-wide warranty, know you've got the backing of the store, the turnaround, walk out with the product.
Yeah.
Rather than order online, find out it's actually not in stock, it's coming from Melbourne, not from the Brisbane warehouse. The Melbourne warehouse has been diverted via Hong Kong. 3 weeks later, you get the thing that you actually didn't order in the first place because it's something else.
Yeah. I'm like that, you know. I think for a while about something like, right, I've made my decision, I want to go get it now from a shop right this second. No, I don't want to. I can order it on eBay. I can order it from Bingley or Officeworks or something. No, I want to go down to a shop. I want it in my hand now. I've made my decision.
That's right. That is the thing. Like, I shop online all the time. I buy heaps of stuff from AliExpress and Banggood and all those places. I live on those sites.
Yeah.
95% of the stuff I buy on those sites is either stuff I know I've got a project coming up in 3 months and I've got time to get the stuff.
Yep.
Or it's stuff that I either can't get here or I can't get here for a reasonable price.
It's like, do you want to go into a Vodafone store and pay $60 for a phone case, or do you want to get one off eBay for like $10?
Yeah.
And that's not too bad. I got this one in the last week. Looks nice. Yeah. It's gold and black and feels really nice. Good solid.
An example of these Duratec, they're fine clippers for circuit board work and stuff like that. I thought you were going
to say nose hairs.
Well, you can use them as well. They're good for toner clippers, actually.
Multi-use.
But in JCar, these Duratecs are a JCar brand, well, one of the brands JCar sell. Great, that just stuck into the keyboard. Literally stuck into the keyboard. There's Microsoft keyboards are tough. They
just got a new one.
They're
ordered over eBay.
$45 or $50 at JCar.
Yep.
They're $12 on eBay.
Yeah.
For exactly the same product. Now, if they were $20 at JCar, I'd walk into JCar and buy it. at 4 times the price.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No.
You know,
It's not that their one's going to be any better than the eBay
no,
one.
that's right. Well, it's exactly the same product. It is literally the same product.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with the Amazon. Look, on the one hand, people are going to cry foul. Oh, it's destroying our business and blah blah blah. On the other hand, if you use it correctly, it's actually a great tool. Like we are, as I said, we're an Amazon affiliate. We will have products online. We will be able to send directly. We'll have the express shipping. We'll be an Amazon store. You will get better prices on Amazon purely based because it's going to be a quantity based thing. Like when 10 orders come in, we get bulk buying discounts, so we're going to pass that on. But you're not going to have the option of fitting. You're not going to have the nationwide warranty. It's not going to be return to base stuff. You're not going to have a lot of these things you'd have for walking into the store. So
it's like buying from Kogan then.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, you get some advantages, you get some disadvantages.
Yeah.
The thing is $20 delivered to you? Let's say it costs $100 from Amazon or $120 to come in the store and pick it up, or get it. You know, come in the store, get it fitted, get your alternator tested, get everything else checked out, knowing that you've got a nationwide warranty and 3-year warranty, or do you pay the $100 and get a 12-month warranty, not nationwide, return to base, and no other support.
Yep.
You know, so what's important to you? You know,
yep.
For us, the $20 covers the fitting and everything else, and the labor involved. So we're not fussed if you don't pay the $20. Just don't come to us when something doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that to us, that's the difference between. We can find a balance between being online and being a retail store. And Jerry Harvey and JB, well, actually JB's good on the act. To see JB actually relaunched they've got ahead of the curve on that one because JB always do. But good guys, a lot of these other stores really just need to realize that they're now not the be all and end all department store. Yeah. There are other options, and the only way they're going to survive is to adapt.
And you can't cry, oh, people are buying stuff from overseas.
Well, you can cry that, but all you're going to do is piss off your customers.
My tax.
The only people who that benefits is the opposition, who's not complaining.
Yep.
If you're complaining and you're whinging and bitching publicly that I can't compete, well, no one's going to go there because they think you're going to go broke.
Yep.
They're going to go to somebody else who isn't struggling.
You need a better business plan, not a handkerchief.
You need to take home less at the end of the day or something. I don't know. You need to
buy one less horse this week for your stable.
That's right, exactly. I apologise too for coughing into the mic. I've got this really horrid, just random cough, and I don't even know what's going to happen till I cough, so I can't mute. Sorry, guys. But yeah, look, as I said, I'm all for eBay competition, 100%. eBay has ruled the roost too long. They've dominated other sites on their own. They own Gumtree. Thankfully, they haven't completely destroyed Gumtree, but they do own it, and who knows how long that's going to stay the way it is.
Yeah.
There was sold.com.au, there was Oztune, there was a few other Australian sites. eBay's demolished all of them.
Trading Post.
Trading Post still exists.
Sort of. Really? Does it really?
Yeah, I mean, it takes up a space and on the website
the somewhere in a little dark corner of the internet.
But I actually saw the Trading Post in the newsagents the other day.
Wow.
It's like 4 A4 pieces of paper stapled together.
Is it anything like my local newspaper that 20 pages are real estate?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I have to admit, our local newspaper here is really good. It's actually about 40 pages and like 35 pages are actual articles.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's free. But yeah, a lot of the local papers are just like ad. Yep. Cut stuck in a tree, ad. Car crashed into a pole, ad.
Somebody hit 100 in cricket.
Speeding in school zone, ad. So. But no, look, bring it on. I think I'm honestly surprised it's taken them so long to do it, but I'm glad they've decided to go ahead with that because I think in 12 months' time,
lifetime.
Yeah, in 12 months' time, this time next year.
Yep.
It's going to make my Christmas shopping so much easier.
Right. Do you think you'd subscribe to the Amazon Prime for same-day delivery and all that stuff?
Look, they've got two services, don't they? They've got their one-by-click process thing, and then they've got the Prime.
Yep.
I'll definitely subscribe to the one-click buy because I
What
do on
about the
eBay.
buttons?
Mm,
You stick a Bluetooth button on the wall in your laundry,
yeah,
and when you run out of detergent, you press the button, and then
I heard
this
about that.
afternoon, here's your laundry liquid.
But I don't know. I'm not in an area where I think Prime would apply. I think I'm too far out of a
Ah,
major area, so I
yeah, me
don't
too.
think it would be an issue anyway.
So you don't mean they're not going to sell a quadcopter out to your place with some toilet rolls on it?
I'm next to the airbase. How far do you think a quadcopter is going to get?
They could send it from the airbase to your house.
um, but yeah, look, I'll definitely sign up for the one click buy.
What
Because
about Prime
I
for
do that
Prime
on
Video?
eBay. But I've that may actually, now that Amazon hasn't a physical purpose, it may be beneficial to actually do that now,
You don't want to watch
because I
Top Gear?
believe it carries over some of the benefits from Prime Video, like, to the actual site. So and of course the new Grand Tour starts next week, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, so that
That'll get a
in
lot of
itself
people
is
in.
the main reason I want to buy it. But it'll be interesting to look into it now and see if it does carry any crossover into the website, if it gives you any benefits or any features or anything like that. It may nearly be worth getting the Amazon Prime in that part of it,
Yep.
or the TV part of it, and because it's only $10 a month or something.
Yep.
And
You just
man,
get a
there's a
little stick
lot
and
of
whack it in the back of your
they're
TV.
really pumping some show. Like, they are spending huge amounts of money on this and awesome. Like, there's a lot of Netflix exclusive stuff, but man, there's a lot of Amazon exclusive stuff coming out too.
But what about Stan exclusive, huh?
There's a couple.
You go for
There's been a
Stan?
couple. I don't. Well, I mean, I don't pay for it. I keep an eye on what's going on with it.
I
There
got
has been a
Netflix,
couple
but
of.
my dad watches Netflix at his place with my account. I don't get to
So
use
you
it.
can't.
I'm paying. No, I've got an account that you can watch up to two
Oh,
streams
the
at once.
multiple, yeah.
We just don't have time for watching it. My daughter wants
Well,
to watch the and some animes on Crunchyroll. So most evenings we sit there watching Crunchyroll for about 2 hours, and then I do some programming for Fitbit watches and play Minecraft with some dude from Brisbane.
yeah, no. He seems to be always on there. Like, but he's always AFK. You can never get a
I
hold of
know,
him.
right?
His mob farms are full and his chest's overflowing, and there's a 5,000 item count in the hopper.
We need to do another show.
Oh, we actually really do. There's been some major updates. Anyway,
Sea creature.
yeah, it looks really cool. But yeah, look, I think the other advantage this now has as well is a lot of the places such as Alibaba and AliExpress and, these Banggood and all these myriad of websites I'm currently using, I know that they all actually use Amazon in the States.
By the way, I found out by checking Banggood isn't a porn site, so it's okay to talk about. It sounded, the first time I heard of it, Banggood. Oh, okay, I better see what that is.
It's Chinese. It's supposed to be bang for your buck. Good, but yeah, they abbreviated it. And there's two words you should never abbreviate together. I suppose it could have been Good Bang, which that is
Yeah.
a porn site. The first time I went there, I'm like, that's not a shopping site.
It reminds me when webmail first came out, and I was talking to one of our customers, and they're like, "Oh, what should I do for email?" And I was like, "I'll just use Hotmail." So she goes, "Okay, HOTMALE.com." Whoa! You sure this is for email? No, MAIL, obviously.
Aussie Mail was the same.
Uh,
That was actually, yeah, that's a whole other story.
okay, there.
That's for another show, that one. But yeah, look, as I was saying, the other thing is with these other currently segmented sites, like, I'd go, if I want to buy something, I go to 8 different sites to see which one's offering the best price.
Yep.
But they all trade through Amazon in America. So hopefully, over time, once this whole process goes through, they'll trade through Australian Amazon as well, which means I can now go to my favorite sellers, because I might have the same seller on 4 different sites, and on all 4 different sites they offer different prices depending on what the average price is on those sites.
Yep.
Amazon tends, as a rule, just to always have the lowest price. they don't.
Or sometimes you see when you do a search for something, it'll say available from these 4 stores, ranging from $23.95 to $33.25.
That's it. It doesn't bring up 400 listings
Mm.
with 399 of them being the same thing from the same person.
Yeah. Who wants that?
So yeah, so I'm actually really looking forward to it from that point of view. So for example, when I'm doing component listing, so when I make I don't have one in easy reach, but when I make my circuit boards and I'm shopping for components, currently I've got to go to about 8 different websites to get the components I need at reasonable prices.
Yep.
But hopefully all it means is I can literally just pump my shopping list into Amazon. It'll give me the best price of all of them straight up, and it'll save me a couple of hours of hunting around for component prices.
Take all my money.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's also going to be an issue.
You got any stories there?
I've got a few quick ones.
Just have a quickie then.
Yeah, I'm good at that. The iPhone X, you know how much we love 4-year-old technology. But Apple I'm gonna send the hate. Come on, I can feel it from me. You're watching those emails flying in.
That's the only time anybody ever gives us feedback.
I know, right? Apple, and this is a confirmation from Apple. It's in one of their statements. Apple confirms that high school students who were interns, so high school students after school who weren't being paid at Foxconn, worked overtime on the iPhone X production line. So congratulations, Apple, on that one.
I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die of not surprise.
6 high school students. Okay, admittedly, there was only 6 of them, but they were part of a 3,000 students taking part in a 3-month-long work experience program. Well, 6 of them come forward, I should say. Told the Financial Times they routinely worked 11-hour days assembling iPhone X smartphones in Foxconn's plant. This is illegal for student interns under Chinese law. They were told that a 3-month stint in the factory was required work experience, and they had no control over it. Had to complete the orders to graduate. One student claimed to assemble as many 1,200 handsets a day. We're being forced by our school, and this is the interesting part about it. It goes deeper than it's not just Apple saying, "Hey, work." We're being forced by our school to work there. Said an 18-year-old student training as a attendant. The work has been nothing to do with our studies. We've confirmed the students worked voluntarily. They were not compensated or provided benefits, and they should have not only been allowed to work overtime. So
they should at least get an iPhone 10.
Well, you think so? I mean, you can't tell me they didn't pocket one. I mean, come on, there's 3,000 people working there. You're doing 1,200 phones a day. So what happens if you do 1,199?
Whoops. That one slipped into my pocket.
It's just interesting that when I first read this story, that a lot of these details weren't available, and it just sounded like Apple basically said, yeah, no worries, push them through. But as later on come out, because interns are a very American idea. I didn't realize China actually did an internship. Effectively, interns, you go to school during the day, or you go to another workplace during the day, and then you intern at this place where you don't get paid for it. You start as the shit kicker. You go and get coffee. You go and get the donuts. You sit in the corner and twiddle your thumbs for the first 6 months until somebody recognizes you.
They send you off for a bucket of vacuum or
that's it.
Left-handed screwdriver or something.
And eventually somebody recognizes you collecting dust in the corner and goes, "Hey, what are you doing here?" But it's free, effectively. It's kind of like voluntary work, but it's sort of required. Like Leo Laporte always has interns come through that place, and Google and Apple and all the major corporations do it because it's a great way of having slave labor that's legal. But basically, that's literally what it is. You go there, you work your ass off for 12 months, you get a piece of paper saying, "Hey, I completed 12 months internship here," and then it looks good on a resume for your next job. But that aside, you still have to adhere to working condition guidelines. A lot of the time, they're backed by schools or things like that because they had the extracurricular activities. They're part of the course or part of the training program the schools are doing. Hours can vary from a couple hours a week to full time or whatever. But in this situation, it's really interesting to realize that the school was actually aware of what was going on,
and encouraged it.
Effectively encouraged Foxconn to work them as hard as they can for the next 6 months, or 12 months. So I would love to know I want to hang off for a few days and want more of this story to come out. But I would really love to know what the process was that led up to that and why. I mean, generally China takes their schooling very seriously.
Yeah.
As a rule, they value sort of family and society more than work ethic earlier on, and the work ethic comes later on, which is why every baker in Australia is owned by generally Chinese, because they're not unhappy working 120 hour weeks. Like, that's just what they do. So that's interesting, but I kind of want to follow the story and see where it goes, see if it leads to anything. The only thing that they've said is that there is an investigation by the schooling, whatever they call their governing body, education department of some description, as to what happened. But yeah, I'm curious. I want to follow this and see, because obviously Foxconn doesn't just make Apple phones.
No.
These particular students just happen to be making Apple, but they do
HP.
A lot of electronics. Yeah.
Microsoft probably.
They do all sorts of stuff. So be really interesting. And if they're using 3,000 student labor for free over 11 hours a day for a year, that's a lot of man hours you've saved in labor.
Yep. Ka-ching, profit.
Who is benefiting from this? There's something about this. Well, that's what I'm wondering. There's something about this story that doesn't make sense, especially given the expense of these phones. You know, you could realistically knock 2/3 of the cost off the phone now because you're not paying for labor.
Yep.
So we shall see.
We shall see. The proliferation of loot box mechanics in high-profile video games, particularly those available to children, is legally questionable and constitutes gambling, according to a Victorian regulator. In an email correspondence with a local university student, the Victoria Commission for Gambling and Liquor Regulation confirmed loot boxes, where players use real money or currency earned in the game to purchase packs of random in-game rewards, were considered gambling under current legislation but were hard to regulate. Jared Wolf, a strategic analyst in the Victorian Regulator's Compliance Division, said, "Your research and suppositions on the matter are correct. What occurs with loot boxes does constitute gambling by the definition of the Victorian legislation. Unfortunately, where the complexity arises is in jurisdiction and our powers to investigate. Legislation has not moved as quick as technology at both state and federal level. We are not necessarily equipped to determine the legality of these practices in lieu of the fact the entities responsible are overseas." The VCGLR analyst noted that the regulator could potentially work with other Australian bodies to keep a closer eye on gambling elements in video games. For instance, the Classification Board could get involved. If these companies want to include significant elements of gambling in their products, then perhaps we should work with the Australian Classification Board to ensure that any product that does that and monetises it gets an immediate R rating, Wolf proposed.
Yeah, I was actually talking about this a couple of years ago. I can't remember what the game was. It was some game. The only way I could sort of defend it was, you know, when you go to a pokey, you've got a statistically 85% chance of winning.
Yep.
So theoretically, for every $100 you spend, you're going to get 85 back. Technically, you're going to lose. However, that's paid out per month. So, by the way, a tip: the best time to go play pokies is the last 2 days of the month, because they have to pay at 85%, and they usually don't pay that out during the month. So if you want to win, play the last 2 days of the month. Sweet. But especially in February, because it's a shorter month, it really crams it out.
If you go to the casino, only play blackjack, because it's the only one where you might have a tiny chance of winning.
Yeah, it's the least rigged.
Yeah.
But I was sort of thinking, well, 95% of the time, loot boxes you don't pay for, they're won in game somehow. The ones you do pay for, you kind of know what you're going to get anyway. It's not gambling in the sense that it's hot or cold. It's not all or nothing. In a loot crate, a loot box, you are going to always win something that's going to benefit you in the game.
Yep.
So is it really gambling in that sense? You're going to win. It's just Just depends if it's going to be a massive win or a minor win. Either way, you're going to come out front to some degree. And that was the only way I could sort of justify the process behind the loot boxes, because I kind of get it what they're saying. It's gambling, but a lot of the other countries have the similar gambling legislation to ours, and yet this is an international thing. So there's obviously enough leeway there that I don't know. That's just my thought.
You get something, even if it's only virtual.
That's it. I mean, even take something like Minecraft, for example, where a lot of the servers you play on, you win a loot key for playing every voting. Like you vote, for example.
Yeah.
You take time, you vote. Now, technically, that's classed as gambling because you've given something and you've received something in return. But you'll always win something. It might be a pane of glass, or it could be 10,000 diamond blocks, but you will always win something. So I think true gambling, you don't necessarily always win something. Like there's always that element of losing.
Yeah.
In a loot crate situation, as far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, in every game that I'm certainly aware of where it's a thing, there's no real chance of losing per se. You don't walk away with nothing, or minus what you had. Yeah. Like a loot crate won't take away your armor.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of understand what they're saying, but at the same time, I don't know if there's enough
loss.
Yeah, there's not loss. So I think that's the definition of gambling, and it requires the chance of loss.
Yep.
So I'm not sure, but yeah, no, it was interesting. I was talking to somebody a couple of years ago because they were playing a game, and you won. I think it was every 6 hours you played, you won a gold loot, or if you threw $10 in or something, you got like this diamond loot crate. And he got annoyed because he normally only got the free ones, and he paid for the diamond one, basically won the same thing as he'd been winning with the free ones. I'm like, yeah, but it's not really gambling because you still won. You just won less than you expected.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know on that one. I'm not a lawyer, but that's sort of my take on it anyway.
Sure.
That's that story, yes?
Yep.
Just quickly, the other thing I want to touch on with NBN, I've got a quick story on it, but I want to mention too, NBN now is getting to the point where it's at least 2 years old in a lot of areas, and if you've got, especially if you've got fibre, you most likely have a NBN backup box on the wall. Batteries are dying in about 2 years. It seems to be the average lifespan of a battery, which is really weird because it's the exact same battery that goes into a home alarm system, and they last 7 to 10 years. But for some reason, they're lasting 2 in the NBN because they have.
Mine did. It ran out when I bought the house.
Yeah,
but you're allowed to contact NBN Co. and ask them to relocate the NTD box if you want. And I didn't want it in the bedroom, which is a dumb place to have it, but the people who owned the house before me didn't know what an internet is anyway, so they just like, oh, just put it somewhere as long as I can phone me mum on the telephone. That's all I care about. So it was in the bedroom, and when I got here, I had to plug my modem in there, and suddenly the bedroom is lit up bright all night long with flashy lights. So I said, can you move it into the lounge? And they're like, yep, no worries. So they came and did that. And I said, oh, by the way, I just bought this house, but the battery was already dead. They're like, here's another one. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So there's something funky with the charge circuits in them. They're charging too much and destroying batteries. So 2 years is about all you're going to get. If you want to replace the battery, now keep in mind you don't need to replace the battery. You can undo the 10mm bolt in the front, open the front cover, pull the power cable out of the UPS and plug it into the modem.
Yep.
So you can bypass that system altogether. You completely pull it off your wall. You don't need it. And in most cases, unless you've got like one of those MediAlert, bracelets or something like that, chances are you can't use it in the blackout anyway because your modem's still unpowered, your phone's still unpowered. So it's effectively useless anyway. So if you don't need it, get rid of it because it's one extra thing you just don't need. If you do want to replace a battery, batteries are... I have been hearing reports of people paying upwards of $100 for a battery. Batteries are $30.
Yep.
And generally, if you want to get them fitted, they're usually an extra $20 a fitting. So you shouldn't be paying more than $50.
Yeah,
Um,
we got one for Dad. His died, and I think he paid about $40 at the local battery shop. And
yeah.
I unplugged it, just took the case off, took the terminals off, took it down there. They gave another one, plugged it back on again. Away it goes again, no
Mm.
problem.
I will be doing a video on it at some point on my business, on the company's YouTube channel,
Yep.
because we're sick of people getting screwed over by it. I'll mention that on the show when we do. But yeah, it's a 10 mil socket under the bolt. Open the door, and the newer ones didn't even have the socket. They had the plastic clips. Just pulled the panel off.
It was, yep, plastic
Yeah.
clips on Dad's one.
Yeah, 2 lugs under the lugs. It's a 12 volt, 7 amp hour standard case, standard bog standard battery, industry standard battery.
Yeah, I just went
Don't
in there
pay-
and said, "Can I have another one of these,
Yeah.
please?" And they pulled off the shelf. There you go, ka-ching, bye.
There's no point forking out more for a better quality battery because it will kill it in 2 years. The charge circuits.
You're not
just
buying a
horrendous.
monster cable with gold plated everything.
But I just thought I'd mention that because the last couple of weeks we've been inundated with calls for the NBN battery. I'm not sure how people are even finding it. We're not advertising it to sell them, but apparently we are.
You're a battery place, you must have it.
But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
My
So
watch
just-
battery's going a bit flat. Can I get a watch
yes.
battery from you? You have those.
Yes, here's a 3.5 cent battery. It'll cost you $25. Yep, no worries.
Can you put it in there, please? I don't have the little screwdriver.
No. There is a reason that and that's the thing I mentioned too, like your car fob alarm, key fobs and stuff like that, watch batteries, all that sort of stuff. Yes, they cost us like 3 cents each. We sell them for $5 each because we sell one a month. Give us a break.
Yep.
Mine
costs $35 for the fob for my car.
That's all you coming.
Well, I'll tell you this. I've mentioned it on the show before. I went to Honda and said, "Can you just replace the battery in here?" And they said, "No. If anyone opens the case of your fob, the key will not work again. You won't even be able to put it in the door and turn it. The key will be completely. Even if I did it and I work for them, if I did it, it's going to be destroyed. The whole thing. I can sell you another key for $120." And I was like, "This is the key that's got the fob built into the key, so it's all the one thing."
Yeah.
So when I was down in Geelong, I was walking past like a Mr. Minute shop or something, and I was like, "Can you swap out the battery in this?" Because the screw had rusted, and you put a screwdriver in there, it just went round in circles. So I couldn't figure out how to get it out anyway. I don't know if you have to drill it out or what.
He would have just drilled it out, yeah.
Yep. So I said, "But I'll tell you the story that they told me." He's like, "Look, I can guarantee you come back in half an hour and you'll have a new battery in there. I guarantee it'll work.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it." Sure enough, I came back. I went over to the car, blip, it unlocked. So I'm like, "Well, there you go. Thank you very much."
Yep.
$120.
The first thing you learn when you have a car is you don't go to the dealer for anything.
No.
I'm
I'm starting to question whether I should go there for my servicing.
No, don't.
I went...
legally speaking, any mechanic who is a licensed mechanic has an actual valid license, can service your vehicle, and it cannot void the warranty.
Yep. No, I understand that. I was just doing it because it was there.
Just don't.
But I got a complete full service 1 year. 2 weeks later, I haven't checked tires and stuff. I probably should. 2 weeks after I had a full service, which included rotating all the tires and checking them all, I got a flat tire while I was doing 110 down the motorway because it was bald. And it
Why could I check today?
So who's checking it? This was at a service centre from the company
It's the same
itself.
as batteries. The amount of customers we get saying, "I got my car serviced a week ago, now it won't start."
Yeah.
The mechanic, and this is what I don't understand. You've got the car there, spend 3 seconds, put the load tester on the battery, test the battery, sell the customer a battery. They're there.
Yep.
But having said that, I had a customer come in yesterday. I just got my car serviced and they told me the battery was no good. And I'm like, "Hang on." He goes, "Yeah, I know." I said, "I was only here 2 weeks ago." I'm like, "All right, well, let me just check it," because it can happen. It is possible. Brand new battery can fail. It does happen.
Can happen with anything. Buy a brand new TV or laptop, it could die tomorrow.
Yeah, went out, checked it. No, battery's perfectly fine. Service report, battery's weak. Went, yeah, they've just written battery's weak. I said, "There's no actual print off here of the battery condition." I said, "I bet you they was trying to sell you another battery."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, that would explain that when I told him it was under warranty, I said, oh, don't worry about it."
Don't worry, it'll be fine. It might die on you, but that's okay.
Another example, we had a Maserati come in yesterday.
Oh, I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, on my
Son
Facebook.
was excited.
And the dealership wanted $900 for the battery and $700 to replace it. We put the best quality battery, which is a Vada AGM, for $400 and charged him $20 to fit it.
So he was a bit happy with you, was he?
So, you know.
Did he take you for a spin at least? Come on.
Oh, I can't fit. I can't fit in it. He was going to take me for a blocky, but I couldn't fit. Too tall. Hit me head on the roof.
Chuck you in a boot.
It's like another one of my customers got a GT40, the Ford GT40s.
Yep.
Same thing. I can't fit in it. He said, "Oh, you want to go for a drive?" Like, yeah. He chucked
Yes,
me the
I
keys.
do. I wish I could.
He actually chucked me the keys. He goes, "There you go." I spent 5 minutes trying to fit in that car.
Reminds me of that guy on The Simpsons that got laughed at by Nelson. He's all hunched over like this. He's like, "This is the
Yeah.
biggest car I could afford. I
That's
don't know
it.
why you're laughing at me. Let's all laugh at him. This is the kid who laughs at everybody."
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, this might be good for you. Our clothing could soon store all the power we need to recharge our phones, thanks to a new type of fabric that can hold electricity just like a battery, developed by Deakin scientists. The fabric, called MXENE, pronounced Maxine, sure it is flexible, super strong, and super conductive. Imagine having a shirt that can store energy. You could have all the energy with you all the time. This is going to revolutionize the clothing industry, says Dr. Cheyenne Seadon, who led a team that developed the new fabric. But the fabric is only good for short bursts of power and is expensive and enormously time-consuming to produce. And that's before you start worrying about wearing a shirt that's pulsating with electricity. Dr. Sayedin is a master of both material chemistry and the sewing machine at Deakin University's Institute for Frontier Materials in Warren
Degree
Ponds.
for that or something.
He uses a conventional knitting machine to weave fabrics out of materials with improbable qualities. His latest fabric incorporates MXene, an electrically conductive artificial nanomaterial made of a single atom thick layer of carbon and titanium atoms. When you write with a lead pencil, you lay down thousands of layers of carbon atom. To make Maxine, you just take a single layer of the atoms, 50,000 times thinner than the human hair, and add a sprinkling of titanium. Just making it, let alone turning it into a shirt, is very difficult and expensive. There are only a few groups in the world that can even synthesize this stuff, he says. There is ceramic and there is metal. Maxine is something in between, he says. It conducts electricity almost as well as metal. Maxine can't hold as much charge as a battery, but can release it very quickly. Because the voltage is low, Dr. Sayedin said there's no concerns about it catching fire, but it would also need to drop in cost significantly before companies would consider commercializing it. You could turn into Super Static Man and just rub your arms together and then shock people around you. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, I mean, the idea would be to obviously wear a capacitor bank or a battery bank or something.
Yeah, keep them charging up.
There has been guys I've been watching on YouTube playing with using micro stepper motors and things on all their joints.
Yeah.
So every time they're moving and whatever, they're generating power. Same sort of principle. Yeah, I don't know. The problem with wearing something that's conductive, whilst itself might be low voltage, it does expose you to high voltage risk.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that idea.
How does it work in the rain too?
Yeah, well, are you a lightning conductor? Like, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's probably a little bit more work needs to be done.
Anything else for you?
So, the Australian government has identified 106 mobile black spot locations across all states.
Ah.
There's more to go with that story, but they've identified 106 mobile black spots in all states. I can think of 106 mobile black spots 3Ks that way.
Yeah. They haven't got to that one yet.
So basically, they got $60 million fund set aside apparently for its priority repairs. They're basically saying that they've got 106 priority locations. Okay, it's the first round. They've got a tender for 106 priority locations to be repaired for 60 million. Then they got third round, which will exclusively target the list of identified priority locations. Basically saying that they want to. This is what I don't get with this article. They're saying the government's spending 60 million on this round and 160 they've already committed and blah 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 blah.
Yep.
But then they go on to say telcos will be responsible to make their own cash co contributions. Well, telcos are required to make a substantial cash co contribution. But if you've spent the money, they're not required to do anything.
No. What's up with that?
It's sort of the other way around. Shouldn't they like give you the money and then you can match it or something
Something like that.
So
It makes sense.
But they're all really weird places too. Like I looked a lot of these places up, and some like Biwa, I get like it's a relatively busy place, and it has signal sporadically because it's surrounded by hills.
Yep.
But you get other stuff in here. There's a lot of places in here like Cape Tribulation and stuff like that, where there's one person for every 10,000 square kilometers. Like, I mean, how important are places like that to get mobile coverage?
Yeah.
But no, look, I mean, Vodafone. Telstra hasn't built a new tower in. I was reading this. I can't find it. I think it's a different article I was reading. Telstra hasn't built a new tower in something like 6 years or something. Optus will be building 114 new towers in the next 12 months. They've just completed building 148, which in the last 5 years they've built 429 towers. And Vodafone's going to be doing 70. There we go. Telstra's allocation for coverage was 429 towers. They somehow wrangled their way down to do 100. So, yeah.
They don't need the phone or internet. Don't worry about it.
That one's interesting. But it kind of goes in this other story I was talking about before with the NBN. NBN is trialling fibre to traffic lights.
Yay! What?
The National Broadband Network has published a test agreement document for a technical trial of extending fibre to the premises and fibre to the node networks to transport infrastructure sites. Basically, instead of supplying NBN Ethernet bitstream services to end-user premises, the trial will see NBN deliver fibre to non-premises endpoints, with traffic lights the only example listed. So they want to give all the traffic lights in the country fibre in net.
I see. No, I don't. What?
And this is the way this statement was worded is hilarious. The test participant must enter into an arrangement with the relevant transport authority and is allowing NBN Co to extend the network to agreed sites. The test participant is traffic lights. The relevant and transport authority is Queensland Transport or RTA. So the traffic light must have written approval. It must write its application and send it off to Queensland Transport. Huh? This is where your hard-earned money is going, people.
It's not making much sense.
They're not. The part about it is they're not even giving a reason. They're saying that the trials using each agreed site is served by the NBN Co fibre network. The trials currently using the VDSL2 hardware compatible with the UniDSL interface. I'm not aware of any traffic lights that have VDSL.
No. That's because they haven't filled out their application, have they?
Oh, is that what happened? But the only glimmer I can get out of this as to what they're trying to achieve is there's a mentioning in here that they're trialing a new diagnostic tool that can remotely diagnose faulty copper.
Yeah.
So the only possible reason I can be assuming they're trialing this is because they're going to be doing um, Ethernet over power, perhaps,
Ah,
and that's to the traffic lights,
yep.
and they're going to test for faults in Ethernet over power. I'm clutching at straws, but that's sort of the
That
the
makes
only
no
thing I
sense
can
to me.
I don't understand. Um, thanks, NBN. Yeah, you're doing.
See if we can fit another couple of stories before the end.
Yeah, yeah.
More battery stuff. Because Mr. Battery's on
Are you
tonight,
gonna
that's
do?
why.
Are you doing the Teslas one?
Tesla found
Mm.
Elon Musk's giant battery in South Australia will be powered up for the first time in coming days as testing of the 100 megawatt facility begins. Built by US tech billionaire Elon Musk's Tesla company, the enormous battery is expected to be ready to provide power to the state from December 1. Tesla power packs connected to the 99 turbine Hornsdale wind farm run by French company Neon have been fully installed in the site near Jamestown, north of Adelaide, at a cost of $33 million. Testing is underway to ensure they comply with South Australian Government and Australia Energy Market Operator requirements. Premier Jay Weatherill has flagged that he will travel to Jamestown next week to officially launch the battery. The battery will run continuously and provide background security to the electricity system when shortfalls arise. At least 10% of the stored power will be reserved for use by the state government to put into the electricity grid. Under the agreement, under the agreement between Mr. Musk and the state government, if the battery was not delivered by Tesla within 100 days of the grid interconnecting agreement being signed, it would be free. However, the project will easily meet that deadline as the agreement was signed on September 29. The lithium ion battery is reportedly 3 times more powerful than any other system on Earth. The battery is part of the state government's $550 million energy plan, which was put together in the wake of a statewide blackout in September last year and load shedding in February. Mr. Weatherill said the battery will make SA more self-sufficient and provide backup power over summer when the high temperatures raise the risk of further blackouts. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's yeah, it's great. Look, South Australia shot himself in the foot. They were offered this a couple of years ago. Anyone said, "I can help you out." They went, "No, no, we got this." Um, and then they had the massive storms, which destroyed infrastructure, which is why they had blackouts. It had nothing to do with the fact that they've only got, well, not only got, but they use renewable energy. It's because like there was no power lines connecting anything to anything.
No, our Prime Minister said it was solar and wind because the solar doesn't happen at night and that's why they had blackouts
Yes,
during the day.
no, he's an idiot. No, he's obviously never paid SimCity. If you don't connect the little power line, nobody moves in.
No, they
But
start moving out pretty fast.
the thing is, this isn't the only one. This isn't 100 megawatt. They already have. California is using a 80 megawatt. Oh, sorry, yeah, Ontario is using an 80 megawatt pack.
Yep.
And there's one in California which is currently being, I think it's 100 megawatt.
Yep.
Or megawatt hours. This is 129 megawatt hours. So it's the largest one they've done. But it basically has the capacity to run 4,000 homes in the region for an entire day in case of a blackout. Or it can run, 40,000 homes for an hour. It really depends on what they're doing. But it'll also act as like a buffer. So on really windy days, the battery bank will be charged. When the turbines are only putting out 90%, it will help to buffer that difference as well.
Yep.
I was trying to find. I have a picture of it, but I can't screen share. I was trying to find the physical dimensions of this thing. It's pretty intense. The actual physical size of it is huge. It's like 4 football fields or something in total size.
Wow.
Well, that's the whole area. The actual battery pack's probably only 1 football field, but still, it's a decent size. But yeah, look, I mean, if anybody can do it, Tesla can. I mean, look, they've just released their truck. They released last week on their announcements.
And that
electric
car,
electric semi.
super
No.
fast car as
Oh,
well.
well, yeah, the new car that's come out, 650 miles, so 1,000 k range on an
And
electric
faster
car.
than just about everything.
It's faster than the Veyron. It's lighter than the Veyron. It's cheaper than
Wasn't
the Veyron.
the guy messaged Elon, said, "Can you make something faster than the Veyron?" And he's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And then did.
So,
And he's like,
well, the last model almost was, and it didn't mean to be.
"Yep."
But the new trucks as well, 500-mile range. And this is what we were talking about a few months ago when we were talking about this. I said, look, these things need to be able to run best part of a day
Yep.
on a charge. And 500 miles, about 800 Ks thereabouts, which is really, it's at least a good, stint. It's the daytime stint for a truckie.
Yep.
And then the way they're doing it is they have, instead of worrying about having, they have fast charge facilities and stuff like that, but they also are going to have pack swaps. So say you pull up to a truck stop while you're having your tea, and they literally have an automated machine that you pull up to the bay and it just swaps your pack out and puts another pack in.
Yeah.
So they got and the other thing is they're supposed to have a 1 million mile warranty.
Yeah, that was amazing too, wasn't it?
Which is, which makes sense, given that really there's not many moving components. It's only the battery pack, and technically the battery pack's getting renewed every so often anyway. And other than the tires, there's really no wear. Brakes get very little use because all the braking is done by regeneration.
Yeah.
So they don't physically apply metal brake pads to rotors, and so it's going to be really interesting. I think, given its price as well, it's not going to be that far off what people are currently paying for trucks. So we'll keep, that's something to keep an eye on. But I think
And less moving parts, which is always good.
Well, there's literally one moving part, and that's the motor.
Yep.
There's 4 wheel bearings, or a wheel bearing on each wheel. There's a electric motor, and steering joints. That's
it.
That's it for moving parts.
So much less that can go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, then it's got polycarbonate windscreen and stuff like that, so the windscreen's not going to crack. You just don't have.
They're pretty streamlined looking too.
They're very interesting.
It's like a train.
That's what I reckon they've taken the concept from.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because at the end of the day, aerodynamics is still playing a major part in electric vehicles, because the thing with electric vehicles is actually they're incredibly efficient around town and really inefficient on the highway, which is a complete opposite to a standard vehicle.
Yep.
So even things like the Prius, when it first came out, it actually was released with low rolling resistance tires. Over the years, people have just put standard tires on them. Now, the tests on those show that you would get, with standard tires, you get about 1,000 Ks to a tank of fuel, which costs you $12 or something, or $18, whatever it is to fill it up. But the low rolling resistance tires, you would get like 1,400 Ks. Like, it literally made that big of a difference just having different tires on the car.
Yeah.
So that really is a thing with Teslas, and that's something they've always pushed. Is there's a reason they do everything on that car.
Yeah, they're not just putting it there for fun.
That's it. They don't have those funky looking mirrors on there for just to look funky. They're there to be.
These are made by scientists.
They're there to be streamlined, as efficient as possible. Like, that's the reason the door handles tuck in when you shut the door. So you've got no resistance. That's why they have the tires they have. It's why they have, in the States at least, they probably don't do it here, but in the States they have summer and winter tires.
Yep.
Go back to the Tesla dealership, they replace your tires for summer and winter tires, and they're a special tire designed specifically for Tesla. Low rolling resistance, that sort of stuff, and that's exactly why they do it, because it's rolling resistance and rotational mass are the two enemies of an electric vehicle.
Yep.
which is why you're not supposed to tow with your Tesla. However, I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, and guys towed their race car to the track behind a Tesla because their other car broke down. And normally the Tesla, like this racetrack they go to, they can normally get to the track and back on one charge in the Tesla. They charge 4 times going there and 4 times coming back. Like it went from like a 4-hour trip to like a 2-day trip.
Yep. Did you see Trevor Long did a trip in a Tesla over the last few days? Started up in Queensland, went all the way down the east coast and then out to Adelaide.
I didn't realise that was happening now. I thought that was after Christmas. It wasn't until I saw your post that I actually realised they were doing it.
And they stopped here in my town. I would have gone over and said hello, but I didn't see their post until the next day. I wasn't looking at Twitter and Facebook at 9:30 at night, but I would have popped down to wherever they were.
It was funny. I was actually looking at... there's another guy who wants to circumnavigate Australia in a Tesla, and he's putting a lot of research in to see if it's possible.
How do you go across that bottom bit where it's just all dirt for a very long time?
It's actually not too bad because there's a lot of truck stops.
Do they have chargers though?
They've got standard power points, which in Australia, because we're 240 volt, they actually charge relatively quick. The problem is actually across the top.
Right.
Basically around the Cape.
Yep.
There's crocodiles.
Bugger all.
There's not much in the way of charging.
Can't you just use the crocodile somehow to power it?
Well, what he's thinking about doing is he's thinking about putting a 4 kVA diesel generator on a small trailer, like the motorbike trailers, the little ones, and basically towing one of those behind the Tesla for that portion.
Yep.
So that it means that if he doesn't make it, he can recharge the car in about 8 hours.
Yep.
Go another 600 k's.
Reminds me of The Martian. Did you watch that movie?
Oh, not for ages.
That was really good.
I watched most of it when it first came out.
Yep.
And I actually haven't watched the end of it yet.
I just watched it with Dad last week, and you see he's got the rechargeable moon vehicle, and he drives along for 8 hours, and then he sleeps during the day while it's charging up all of the solar.
Yeah.
He goes underneath it and sleeps there, then gets up, packs everything away, and drives through the night.
It was actually started in Australia 20 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
It was actually the Solar Challenge. They basically drive across Australia.
6,000.
Yeah. Is it 6,000 or 3,000 k's, whatever it is. That started in Australia, and that's massively huge, this Solar Challenge. Now, all the universities across the world, go nuts and compete in this thing. And we've won it like the last 4 years in a row. We've just got it figured out. But some of the technology that's coming out of that is finding its way into a lot of the hybrids and a lot of the EVs that's happening now. There's a lot of the really low resistance, high output, low energy consumption motors and things like that have been used now. They're really making a difference. They're really starting to find their way into mainstream. And things like when they did some of these motors, they're like a custom built motor, the handmade, one in the world, unreplaceable.
Yep.
You can't put a price on it. Within 5 years, they've gone to being produced in a factory and put into vehicles. It's really great. And it's really good to watch if you get bored for a couple of hours on YouTube. Just look up the Australian. I don't know if it's still called the BP Solar Challenge. It used to be. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of really neat stuff, and the same sort of thing. Originally, when it all started, they had massive big battery packs and heaps of solar panels, lately the deal is they have like a supercapacitor bank, a couple of small battery packs, and a lot of lightweight solar panels, and just drive during the day. And they've actually got enough power being produced by the panels to drive the motor effectively now.
Bridgestone World Solar Challenge.
That's the Bridgestone now, okay.
Yep.
Whereas even 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't possible, that you couldn't possibly cover a car with enough panels to run a motor to drive the car. You had to have a battery bank in there. But they don't now, so it's quite amazing.
You got one more to finish up?
One that I don't completely understand.
You picked it, man.
Well, I picked it because I thought they were talking about a different story, and I started reading this one that It's not what I thought it was, but I don't actually understand what they're talking about. EU agrees to end geo-blocking to boost single-digit market. Okay. Yeah. Member states believe the move will encourage European business, but there's small print to consider. The European Parliament has agreed to end unjustified geo-blocking within Europe in a bid to boost online businesses in the region. Together with the European Council and European Commission, the Parliament said this week that the agreement has been reached to bring a new rule which will end geo-blocking on purchases of goods and services. The deal, which is stemmed from a promise made during EU's digital summit to cut down geo-blocking practices, will give EU customers more options when it comes to purchases made in all 28 member states. For citizens, this means they'll be able to buy their new electrical goods online, rent a car, or get their concert tickets across borders. Now,
except for if you Brexited already.
Well, yeah, there's that. But they're giving an example. A German customer who wishes to buy a fridge from a Spanish website will now have the right to do so. On the one hand, congratulations, you can do that. On the other hand, why exactly is a German buying a Spanish fridge? Given that they make the best fridges in the world in Germany. And the shipping from Spain is probably worth more than the fridge. I kind of understand what they're saying, but at the same time,
it's a bad example.
I really don't think it's relevant. Like, okay, concert tickets, I get. It means if you're in, Bulgaria and you want to fly to Italy for a concert, you can do that now because you can pre-book your tickets. Okay, I kind of understand that. But there's really not that many situations where that would be applicable, surely. Is it really that much of a EU e-commerce boost to the nation that's really something I need to even think about?
Maybe there was some hard math someone didn't want to do anymore, and they're just like, can't we just let everybody do everything? They're like, yeah, okay. Phew, that'll make my algorithm so much easier.
They're calling it the EU single market. So they're releasing geo-blocking restrictions on companies to allow people to buy things from that company. They're not releasing geo-blocking restrictions from companies to allow companies to buy from that company.
But
there's no way that company could tell it was a company.
Yeah.
So the company could buy from the company, even though it's only supposed to be people buying from the company.
Well, people who run the company are people.
So it's. I'm not 100% sure. I thought this was a different story when I first started. I thought, cool, they're getting rid of geo-blocking, meaning that you can watch Netflix in the States.
Yeah, that's what you think of with geo-blocking.
That's exactly. I didn't realize there was a whole e-commerce geo-blocking phenomenon happening. I thought if you wanted to buy something from another country, you could buy something from another country, unless you're in China, then you can't. But I didn't realize that this was actually a thing. But yeah, it's. And now that I do realize it's the thing, I'm not really sure that it matters that it's a thing.
Who knows?
It's like saying, I live in Brisbane, I'm going to go and buy a haircut in Sydney.
Yep.
Now I've got to do is actually fly to Sydney, not get a haircut, but, that's all I want to do. I want to have the option to be able to buy my haircut in Sydney. Well, okay,
it's all right. You don't look as though you need one.
You've got the option, but why? that's just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mr. T finishes off with a funny story for the end of the show.
It was just odd. The only reason I continued to incorporate it was because it wasn't the story I thought it was, and I don't completely understand what it's supposed to be. So,
anyway, thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Email us Glenn, Will, Warlock, and Eric at aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear the Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com. 24/7 back-to-back play some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows added each Friday. And we'll don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that sort of stuff down below there. And we'll catch you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.